And welcome back once again to Memoirs of the Father. I am your host, the Father, Alex Burnham. How is everybody doing today? I spend a lot of time going back and trying to remember everything that I can for these episodes the best that I can. And there's a lot of stuff that gets cut out of them, but it does take a lot of time just thinking about what to talk about. And a lot of times I just sit here and I just go. I write down the plot points and I spend some time and I just shoot it. This one I spent a lot more time on because at this point we are to the final year of my career at McCracken County High School, and it's a pretty surreal feeling because it's a little unexpected. Obviously, I've talked a lot in the past about being ready to go. I knew that I was on my way out the door in some ways, and in other ways, you just don't know if it's frustration. You just don't know what it is. But this was different. In a lot of ways, this was the best year that I ever had in almost every metric imaginable except for success. It really was. I was proud of it. I was proud of all the individuals that I got to work with. I was proud of all their stories. I was proud that I felt like they did everything that I asked them to do. This is not a priority dream. This is not something that you hang your hat on at night and bet the house on. There's not a long future in this, and most people that do make money are few and far between. There's a lot of people that do this just for love and enjoyment. And there is money that can be made in this, don't get me wrong, but most of us do this out of passion and not riches, so you can't put the world on hold. And unfortunately, my world was getting ready to get very, very big. But we're going to talk a lot about all that. I haven't opened up a lot about my departure pretty much at all. I'm going to do that. What I feel comfortable doing anyway. Like I said, a lot of this stuff involved my personal life. It just put me in a bad place. You lose a few people, it does some bad things to you. You lose your home, it's bad for you. You work in 120 hours a week, it's bad for you. Doing drugs, it's bad for you. I think I love this so much that I didn't ever let anything else matter. And I think that becomes a problem. And we'll get into a lot more of it as we go. But expect this to be real. Like I said, at the end of the day, this is all about the cheerleading. But I do think it's important to talk about because this is such a mental sport. It's mental to be involved in it. There's pressures at every level as an athlete, as a coach, and as anything and everything in between. And it's hard to shut the world out and focus on this because ideally this is supposed to be your escape. It doesn't always end up being that way when you're trying to do these things, and something that's supposed to be an enjoyment can sometimes be overwhelming and pressure filled. And when you have all that pressure in other places in your life, well, it's not a really great combination. Just that simple. But let's go ahead and get right into this. Let's get this out there and let's get this done. I expect this to be a long one. We'll see what happens, but if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get it going. So we're going to start off. Remember, we ended our last one. We had just finished the 21 season, the COVID year. And we had, about a week before graduation that year, we had state. And then the next week, we were going to have the tryouts. Now, we had started doing some open gyms about 6 weeks probably prior, I think around April-ish maybe. We were losing a big chunk of seniors. We had a big group, and that was that freshman group that came in back in 2017. And they had just wrapped up their run. Lots of seniors. Lots of seniors, lots of tumbling, lots of girls especially. We lost several guys as well. But we picked up 9 new freshmen. And that would be Briley, Madeline, Emily, Carly, Miranda, Callie, Ansley, Caitlin, and Izzy Jeffords. Pretty good group. Pretty exciting group. Now, initially when we start this season, normally you're coming off of you've had a break and you've done some open gyms. You're kind of getting people ready. We run right from the longest year I've ever been a part of, and we run right into this season. And we were kind of in the mindset of, do we take a break? Do we wait? And the thought was, what we're going to be asking them to do is pretty light. It's just getting people comfortable, working with new people, and then getting the stuff that we need to start having our season, teaching people counts, introducing the stuff, because we're returning a pretty good chunk of guys. I mean, I think we had, let me see here, I've got my notebook. We had Andrew, we had Colton, both of them were coming back. Noah, Davin, Jacob, all were coming back. You look at it right there, and that's already a pretty good stack. We had Brady come in. And I mean, at that point, it's just, you feel pretty good with your guys for the most part. You want to pick up one or two more. We know we're going back to medium. We did our thing in large. We're going to go back to medium and kind of fight it out. The large ended up being a really good decision for us, though, because it helped us develop a lot of the people. Like, a lot of those guys that ended up being big portions of this year and taking on big roles, they had the experience from getting to do it the year before. They wouldn't have gotten that experience if we hadn't been large co-ed. So it ended up being a really good decision for us for a longevity standpoint. And obviously we won, so it was a fantastic fucking decision. And you'll never convince me otherwise. So, but yeah, no, I was excited though. Even though we're running in close, we decided we're going to take these 4 weeks, get it all out, and then we'll go right into dead period. Take your 2-3 weeks off. I think we gave them a little bit longer for dead period. Normally in the state of Kentucky it's 2 weeks. I think we gave them 3 just to rest and relax and roll right into this season and be able to do what we're trying to do. So, but there was some excitement. Obviously, we lost a lot of people. I felt like bringing so many new people in, it was very fun because I really enjoy working with the newer people the most. The freshmen, helping people get integrated into the system. And, breaking down that barriers, letting them see, because it's the most exciting time. It's reliving that. It's, you can take a lot of this for granted, and then you look at someone who's never even had it or never done it before. It helps keep things in perspective. So I really enjoy working with them all the time. And this is a really good group. I mean, for the most part, Briley was a little rough in the beginning. Top girl. She pans out pretty good. Madeline and Emily, oh my God. These two would have me cracking up laughing all the time. The funniest girls. Little special, to be honest with you, but they're sweet girls, real funny. Real hardworking, but damn, they always had me laughing. You can't ever look at them and be serious because you couldn't tell. There's no telling. Carly was about the same way. I liked Carly a lot. And then we had Miranda was powerhouse. Unbelievable power. Great tumbling, great jumps. I mean, just an automatic, you're picking this up. Fantastic all the way around. We had Callie, who was, she was a little on the newer side. She was a project person. Her, developing her, super nice, very sweet girl. Not the most aggressive person that I've ever met. And she had some problems with some mental blocks with her tumbling, but we kind of thought maybe being around us and being around people that are doing it all the time, maybe that would help her kind of break the rut. Give her a little bit of push. Because like I said, Jennifer had known her, and she was friends with Briley. Briley was Jennifer's daughter, the head coach. So she had known her for a while, and I think it was a little bit of a gamble on that. She knew her, so she felt a little bit more comfortable taking that chance and seeing if she could pan out and develop. And because I think sometimes if you brought someone into that environment and it's kind of a pressure-driven situation. But in this case, because she knew her and she knew she can be a little timid, she felt okay doing that and taking that chance and that she was capable of it. So, I don't think normally that would be a decision that I would always go with. But under those circumstances, I 100% thought it was a pretty good idea. I mean, we were all on board with it. And then Ansley, I work with Ansley's mom. I still work with Ansley's mom to this day. Fantastic little girl. Well, she's not little no more. She's a Damn, she's a senior. She may be graduated by the time this comes out, honestly. All of these girls might be. I loved Ansley to death. Tickled me to death. She was so ditzy, so dumb. Gullible. Would fall for any prank. Anything. Gullible as could be. But it's a sweetheart, honestly. Hard worker. She'd keep you laughing too. But man, there was a good group. And then of course we had Kaylin, really kind of quiet, shy girl. Good worker though. Clean tumbling, strong as a bass. She had some areas that she needed to work on. She was your typical freshman, but she was not ever going to get in trouble. She was not ever going to cause you problems. And if she couldn't do something, it wasn't going to be because she didn't try. Good kid to pick up, a stability kid. And obviously with our program, the hopes is we can build you up and make you even better. And she did that. I mean, she ends up all 4 years, fantastic kid. And of course, Izzy Jeffords, she was Noah's little sister. Noah had come in the year before, the Hefe. And his sister came in, and his sister in the beginning was immensely more talented than him. It was a no-brainer that we were getting her. I think she was struggling on a standing tuck, but she had a fucking full, which that shit don't make no sense to me. But either way, it all works out because she ends up getting it. But another really nice kid, not going to get in a lot of trouble, has great skills that you need for your team. I mean, these are all pretty easy pickups. Like we just lost a ton of people, and they were good and they were fun, and I really don't remember anything super crazy. They were really loud and really talkative and stuff like that, but it's a bunch of girls. That's kind of be how it is. And then on the guy end, I think we probably gave them a little bit of time. I know we had Thomas came back. They'd been on our JV team the year before. I don't even know if I talked about that. But it was a JV team with 3 people on it. And he's the only one that made it back or came back the next year. And we decided we weren't doing JV this year. So we just brought him on at the varsity. I think Brady came in and, God, who else did we get? Landon. Landon was the other new one. Landon was friends. I think maybe Jack had been with us this year too. Possibly. Or he was the year before. But Landon was friends of Jack, who's Max's brother. Max is the big star at West Georgia, what we got now. But Landon was an odd case. Because when they brought this up to me, Landon had been in, I don't know if it's special needs, because he's not really special needs. He's got some learning issues. Some trouble in school issues, some behavior issues, some I have no dad around issues, fighting, troublemaker, 100% trouble. And they were asking me, like, he came because he's friends with Jack and them. And he came and he tried it out, and the kid's stout as shit. Great shape, strong, perfect for this. He's a little slow about some stuff, and he can be really childish, a little immature, and it was, do we want to tackle this project? Do we want to potentially bring a problem one? I think Jennifer spoke to his mom, and a lot of this really came down to is that they thought it would be good for him, and we made it clear with his mom in the beginning exactly what, because she knew that she had some troubles with him. I mean, he wasn't like a murdering people or nothing like that, but he was known to get in some trouble. We made it clear what the rules were going to be. But for the most part, Landon was my responsibility. He listened better to men, and that was obvious from the beginning. He did not have a lot of any kind of strong male roles in his life. And I remember when we spoke with the all-girl coach, I can't remember her name, but we spoke to her, and when she was talking about him and thought that it would be really good for him, she did say that, like, having someone my age as a stronger male figure in his life would be good. Just to have some kind of dominant male presence. And I was like, well, he's about to get it. So I guess I was excited for Landon, though. I thought, listen, the more messed up, the better. I think that there's something there. I love working with people that Those are the people that will come out and bring it all because they don't have anything else. And they find a way to escape in this and get wrapped in this and get driven by it. It can make some pretty powerful people and some pretty outstanding athletes as well. So I was pretty on board with it. I think that we were all in agreement on it. We needed someone with size. It was a good gamble because we had people. I think we picked up Carter this year too. We had people. So we can take a chance. If it doesn't work out, we've made the rules. We've set the groundwork. We've got our easy out. So we took him. We had some people that decided not to come back. I think Winter did not come back because of her back. Tia didn't come back. Tanner didn't come back. Tanner was the one that sucked because Tanner was going to be a senior. And I coached Tanner for all 3 years. It's rare that you get a guy when he's a freshman. But he was just tired. He was burnt out. And I personally wanted to see him stay. Loved working with Tanner. He stressed me out a little bit. But he's a good person. Good kid. And I had a really good bond with him. And, he ultimately decided that he was not going to come back and do this. And I reached out to him, and I think what I told him specifically was, I'm not upset that you're going. I understand the decision that you're making, and I respect it. And, you got to do what you love. And if your heart's not in it, why be here? But I just told him, I was like, man, I appreciate everything that you've given us for the last 3 years. I was happy to work with you. I was happy to spend time with you, all the memories and everything. He was fun. And it sucks, man. And I get it. People come and go, but damn, man, does it suck. You spend so much time with these people and getting to know them and getting close to people and seeing them grow and develop and become new people, and then they're just gone. And I've seen Tanner once or twice since this, but, Tanner too was a little bit of that old guard. And I think he specifically told me that he just didn't think that he was going to be able to gel with this group of people. And I understand that when I look at it and I look at this group and the personality change that I felt like we were undergoing. We lost such a big chunk of what had been. And then a lot of what was left wasn't really a dominant. Our senior group was like Jada, Mackenzie, Maggie, and Carly. And they weren't I wouldn't really say that they were always in line with the group that left. You know what I'm saying? Just different, not a good thing, not a bad thing. It's just a different type of energy, a different type of motivation, a different type of drive. And this new generation is kind of young and new and impressionable. And a lot of the kids that we have returning, the only experience that they have was the year before, a COVID year, which has no bearing to what we're getting ready to do now because we did virtual and all this stuff. None of this is going to be the same. So there is a shift in personality, and I thought it was a good one. I thought it's just refreshing, like a different atmosphere. Nothing wrong with what we had, but it's nice to have a different change of pace and a different feel, a different energy, and a different vibe in the room. And each kind of team has their own ones. At this point, with the amount of new people that we brought in, with the amount of inexperience, and with the type of leaders that we had, we were getting ready to shift gears into a new era, so to speak. But during these 4 weeks, getting ready to go into dead period, we were kind of chit-chatting about what we want to do, what we think is best, and kind of getting together our ideas for the routine. And Haley was coming along really well. Audrey was improving a lot. Both these girls were fantastic the year before. Really stepping up more now. And I'm stunning quite a bit in the dungeon still, keeping my sessions going. I haven't really, the freshman girls, I really haven't dabbled. I did a lot for Ansley. But I really kind of stayed away from Briley, at least initially in the beginning. I didn't want it to look like I was helping the coach's kid or anything like that, or any kind of, and that's shitty. But I kind of, I wouldn't not stunt with her. If I was asked to practice, I absolutely did. And I would do some stuff with her here and there, but I didn't give her nearly the amount of attention, at least in the beginning, that I gave Ansley and those girls like that. And Haley and Audrey, I was doing a lot of stuff with as well. But then Jacob and Noah and Davin, all three of them were improving a lot. And Landon was coming along, and Colton was becoming more consistent. Things were going really well. The skills were developing, and we were kind of, what's the possibility going to be? And we knew at least we could do a toss lib. We had some, and you know who's going to match up and work well with each other. We were going through that whole jazz and figuring out what we want to do with pyramids. And Jennifer was like, well, she's like, I want to do, what inversion do you think is easiest? I was like, easiest or safest? Because it's two different ones in my opinion. I was like, if you want the safest and also easy, I was like, the round off up is safe and easy because you don't have to, it's not jumping in backwards like a back handspring. It's not having to hold a handstand. Like hand to hand, it's doing a round off. Grab the hips. It's harder than a back handspring up because you don't have the momentum. It's easier and safer in that the girl doesn't have to do as much, just getting the contact with the hips and all that stuff. So she's like, well, see if you can do it. And I was like, all right. I just grabbed Riley and I've hardly fuck all stunned with her. And I was like, let's do this. I think it took me about 5 minutes, maybe. She learned it and it smacked. It looked beautiful. And I remember telling Jennifer, I was like, you need to consider putting her in the pyramids. I told her right then. And she was very much against that because Briley's her daughter. And she didn't want anything to look like she was handing out favorites, playing favorites, giving her kid anything. She did not want it to look that way. And I was like, listen, I understand what you're saying, but she's fucking good. Like we cannot play this game of, oh, she's a freshman, but like, yeah, she's kind of not bad. Okay. There are some things that she did that freshmen do. She bends her knees a little bit. She's not always super tight. That stuff improved and that got better as the year went on. Natural body control, most kids don't come in with it like this. You know, the stunning and the being tight are one thing. Being able to control the gymnastic skills that are now being incorporated in stunts takes a different level of body control. Most of our girls didn't have it. She was one of the ones, at least in the beginning, that did. Her and Audrey was a fucking gymnast. So guess what? There's no surprise there, okay? The body control that you need. And I was like, listen, you know, and it's not that, like, I think she was impressed with her daughter, but she never, it was very rare that I ever got to see her be mom at practice, which is a good thing. But like, I don't know. I've always been such an emotion-driven person. And I'm not really good at hiding it. So like if my kids are doing well, I'd be excited. You know, I don't know if I'd boast and brag about it all the time. You know, not like at practice every single day or anything like that. But, you know, I do feel like there was probably times where she was like impressed and proud and like, I don't know. Like she didn't have to like, I don't know. I just feel like she didn't have to hide it from me. I didn't care. If I didn't agree with her, I'd have told her. You know what I'm saying? Like Riley was good. And I thought that she deserved a whole lot. You know, it was just obvious to me. And that's really what we did. I mean, a lot of what we went out to the dungeon and we were just working. And I mean, like I said, we picked up right where the freshmen started coming out there, Ansley and Briley and all them. And it was just like it always was. You know, it had never been like where we get together and stunt, but it was just like last summer. We were out there all the time. Me and Jack and Brandon, Max, Ethan, they're all home. We're going and grinding. We're getting all the stunts in that we can. Davin, Noah, Jacob, they're all coming out there, all putting in all this work. Hazel's Clark, everybody's home, and we're out there constantly stunning. And there's lots of stunts getting put up, lots of growth. And because there's so many people here, we can take a little bit more chances. And we have so many people willing to come. And Carly, that I had been stunning with the year before, Carly England, she was going to be a senior. I was working with her a lot too. And I specifically remember, like, we had to take our tuck out, like, right before our last competition, right at the end of that year. And she was going to be a senior. She's not throwing any tumbling. And we're stunting together, and we look really, really good. And Jennifer had talked to me about it, and I finally agreed that I was going to be a little tougher. Because she was still stunning really, really well with me at this point. But it's like, I tell her, I was like, you need to have your standing tuck. Because at this point, you're not going to get an opportunity to even be on the floor if you can't do it, let alone fly. Because there are top girls. Some of them are a little bit easier to stunt with her. She looks really good with me. She doesn't look that great with everybody else on the team. And there's a lot of inexperienced guys. You know, I don't have the Clarks and I don't have the Hazels. And if she wants the opportunities, well, We need to make sure certain areas, the tumbling's important. We got to have it, and we want to keep that hold out that it's important for people to be at this certain level, and that we have this expectation that there's no exemption from this. So I told her that she needed to focus on that. Or, I mean, it was a lot worse than not getting to sit with me. Your option is not being on the routine, being done, your year being over with, pretty much, for your senior year. And I would work on her tumbling. I never shied away from that. There were times when we came out there to the dungeon and we just worked on her tumbling. Committed to it. Just never worked out, We'll get to that more, but I remember that, and that's going to be important for later on. Because poor kid's hurt, and she's going to need surgery, and we'll get to all that, and that's just part of this heartbreaking thing. Now, when we took the break for dead period, I remember taking this break and enjoying it. I like enjoying my time off and kind of letting my body rest, because I had been pounding, pretty much all the back end of 2019 going into 2020. The last two seasons are pretty much just burned together, because like I said, when everybody took that break during COVID, I didn't. I was out there in the dungeon stunning all the time. So I've been going at this point for around 2 years straight, and I'm tired. I'm fatigued. I'm beat down. I need this break. So I take my break. And I was pretty strong on that. I don't think I broke from that at all. I didn't ask the kids about coming out there. I think when I went out there and stunted, I stunted with Abby once or twice. But I really just kind of took it. And at this point in time, too, I'm working all the time at work. The COVID fallout was pretty bad with the healthcare. We lost like 70% of our employees. And it's crazy. I'm supervisor of a brain injury rehab center. And I'm working crazy hours because we don't have people. And people got to be taken care of. And the business has got to be done as always. And I'm the one that's responsible for the business. So you're saying, how do you manage to do all this? Well, I'm not sleeping. That's a big part of it. Because I was working. This is no joke. This is my schedule. On Sundays, I'd come out to the dungeon. Most of the time, I would probably be there from 2, 3 o'clock until 8 or 9, something like that. That was not uncommon at all. If they didn't have school the next day, we might push that back a little bit later, but that was normal. Mondays I would be off. During the summer, it's just right back to the dungeon. We'd probably have practice on Monday at some point. If it was during the summer, it'd be in the morning. If it was not, it'd be after school. Tuesdays, same thing. Stunt. Practice maybe. And if not, go into the dungeon. And listen, we get done with practice and go right back out to the dungeon. Didn't matter. Then on Wednesdays, I'd come in to work at 10 o'clock. And who knows when I'm leaving, And that's crazy. And you're like, that's illegal as hell. It's healthcare. It is the way that it is. On Thursdays, I would leave for 2 hours and go to practice, come back. If things were going good at work, I'd get away. But pretty much I would work. Wednesday, my schedule was from 10 to 10. But almost every time I would be borderline, probably 23 hours on a Wednesday, get a few hours off, go to practice for 2 hours, come back to work at 5 and work till 9 the next morning. And then usually on Fridays, if I didn't get stuck there working that night, on Fridays I'd come in at 9 in the morning and stay until almost every weekend. It was Saturday until midnight for years, 3 or 4 years. It was like that. It was just a ton of hours. Probably from Wednesday to Saturday, if I'm lucky, I got to sleep 10 hours. And that's not an exaggeration. That was just going. And that's bad for your body, bad for your brain. But this job allows me to go and do all my cheerleading stuff. And I really want to hold on to that. Not the job that I love, but it pays the bills, keeps my family fed, keeps me being able to do this. So I just keep doing it. Plus, if I quit at this point, the place will fall apart because there's not anybody else. So there's that. But there's some days are good, some days weren't. But just the tired, the fatigue, and everything really catching up on me. And, like I said, we're pushing the envelope a lot more. Trying to be creative, trying to be innovative, trying to do things that we haven't done before yet. playing with all the flipping skills, introducing them to them, and I've still got people that I've got to develop and grow, like Ansley and stuff like that. So for the most part, this is just a nasty grind session. We had to do UCA camp, the required one. I can't remember who all came to ours, but we pretty much broke off when we were on our own with Asian guy who went to Memphis. I can't think of his name. My daughter Abby knew him because she cheered with him. I think it was Mike, maybe. But he came, and there was another girl that came, and they did our UCA camp. And it was good, really good camp to get that one-on-one instruction. For the most part, it was just me studying with the girls and them telling them what they need to do for some of these inversions. But the kids put in so much work. Like it's a lot of just stunning and like another set of eyeballs and trying new things. Just even if it's just stunning all the time or just doing this or just playing this, just to have input and a different set of eyes. Sometimes it's really refreshing. Especially when it's on stuff that you're not accustomed to working to. Like I'm accustomed to doing flipping skills. I'm not accustomed to teaching them all the times. And there's things have changed. Skills have gotten better. It's been a long time since I was in college. Over a decade now. So the way that I learned to do things is not the way they teach people anymore. So it's good to pick up new things for me too. But we really started playing with the inversions a lot here and popping that door open for like the pyramids and stuff like that. So when it came time and we got to actually doing choreography camp and we're saying, hey, what are we going to do? I pitched the inversion stunt. I said I wanted to do it. Mark had mentioned it. He'd been hyping it up for years. I was like, they can do it. This is the group. And I built that whole idea on I've got 5 super special top girls. I've got Jada, I've got Ansley, I got Briley, I got Haley, and I got Audrey. All 5 of these girls are special. Undeniably so. Like 99% of any other place, if they were at any other school in the country, 99% of them, they would be the girl on the team. And I felt pretty comfortable with that. Like I knew that. I trusted these girls. I thought they were fantastic. To rule the world was just, I literally thought that we're just going to run this. We're going to rule the world. That's what I felt like. Just phenomenal talent. But the world changed. Or it was going to. But we did this kind of like a prone, like a co-ed version of the prone hold dip pop. We did like a round off end, spancy, spin it. But basically what it is a prone hold dip, pop the inversion through. And we were just going to go to hands initially. We knew what the goal was to do like a bump lip or something like that. We did not intend for this to get like insanely difficult, but we wanted to do the inversion. This was us testing the waters. This skill was, it's not the definition inversion. It's not like a back handspring up. It's not a round off up. It's not hand in hand, front handspring. It's not any of those things that you check on the score sheet, but it is an inverted skill. So there's going to be a creativity standpoint. But with the way that we did this, we were going to have to build our entire routine around that essentially because we're going to round off in, spin. It takes up a big chunk of the floor. We have this weird angle to make it all visual. So we've got some asymmetrical formations and stuff like that. And all that stuff you have to build around of when you're going to do stuff that's big and crazy and elongated. But for the most part, putting the routine together was pretty smooth. And I had a pretty decent say in a lot of stuff as far as like, like I said, I pitched the inversion and the front flip pyramid that we did at the end. I mean, the round off up was what I had taught them, and I really wanted to do the front flip. I had seen Moorhead All Girl do I think they call it a fast forward. So I wanted to do something similar to that. Obviously, we have to do ours braced, but I was like, it just pops really good, and it's different to flip forward instead of backwards, and you see so much of the same stuff that doing something different. And that really, it was just those two things, honestly. But, I mean, when you break stuff down really bad, it's not too bad. But yeah, man, it was a good routine. I really liked the routine. Felt comfortable with it. And, Jennifer was a little nervous about doing the inversions, but I told her, I was like, I think there was a lot of talking that went into this. I have spent so much time working with her that, like, there are things that she would say absolutely no to in a heartbeat. This is a terrible idea. But I figured out that if I could give her evidence, I can convince her that this is a good idea. And that's all that she needs. She needs some kind of tangible proof, a statistic, something that says this is possible, this is doable, this is realistic. And as long as she sees it as being realistic, the possibility exists. And at this point, I've gotten really good about convincing her what is and isn't. Or I know what she needs to feel validated enough to go after it. It's not like I'm manipulating the situation or anything like that. I understand if she wants this to have an 80% hit rate, then I know that that's what's going to make her comfortable. I'm going to go get her an 80% hit rate. If it's this or that or whatever the parameters are around this that will make her feel better about it, I am willing to go and get this. But I pretty much told her just, here's what it is. Is like, this is going to take a lot of time. And she knew that. She was 100% way ahead of that. I was like, we can do this. I was like, this is similar. I was like, none of them looked bad. Like when we were doing them that day, none of them were like terrible. They all had potential. It was just figuring out the little things. It's like, we can make it clean, time, and getting comfortable. And I was like, we'll pick these apart. We'll make it work. We did this with a few things in our routine, which, looking back at it right now, probably not the smartest decision in the world. Because we're going to have to put in a lot of work on both of our pyramids, and we're going to put in a lot of work on this one stunt. Plus the other skills that we still need to develop in this routine, the conditioning. I mean, it's a lot more than just the music section. There's a whole lot of stuff. And we put the girls through the ringer and tumbling. Like, they were fucking getting it. Like, it was fast. It was the pace of the routine. It was a lot. Thinking about it now, I was like, man, that's... But hey, at the time, it was like, fuck it. I was like, we can do this. We can do this in our sleep. With mostly unproven people. But, man, they've gotten so much better. They put in so much work and so much effort. And I just knew it was there. I mean, we all could kind of see it. Like I said, there was a really good energy about this team. A really good possibility. A really good feeling that things were really going to go in a good direction. So let's ride into our school year. Really, the only problems that I remember consistently having were Landon's grades. Landon not turning in paperwork, not doing this and that. And most of the time, it could get fixed. But we were on him an awful lot about that. As far as like full outs and stuff go, I don't remember any of them being like super tragic. But like the stuff was a little bit rougher. Getting everybody integrated into these skills, the amount of time that we were having to put on them. That process from when you start back school to getting to your first full out, to actually doing the full outs, to getting ready for your first comp. Usually it's from about August, September, October, and then by November you got to be ready. So it's about a 3-month window. And really that full out section is probably going to go about 5-6 weeks really at best. And I remember it was just, some of it was a little slow. You know, it was like, this is going to take some time. Some things were clicking together really fast. But I felt like, for the most part, things are going really, really well. Obviously, the freshmen being a little chaotic. It wasn't like a bad thing, but I think one of the seniors had brought just them needing to be a little bit more serious at times up. And I remember us having a conversation with those girls. We brought them all in. And we were talking to them about, you know, being engaged with the team, being receptive, mostly just like a welfare check, almost pretty much. Just seeing how they were doing, how they felt, how they thought things were going, what was their perception, and us trying to make sure that they're going to go in the right path and listen. And I just told them, I was like, listen, you guys just need to come in here and be a part of what you're doing. I'm not saying that you got to take over and be a leader, but I want you to be vocal. I want you to be a part of the team. Don't just be a clique, like the freshman clique. Be a part of the team. Integrate yourselves into what we're doing. And I was like, these years are going to pass. I was like, you guys are all together now. But I was like, you know, by the time this is said and done, I was like, the odds of all 9 of you still being here are almost 0. Because we've never had, you know, every year there's always some kid that goes. I was like, you just take the most of the moment that you have here, appreciate it. Have fun, be respectful. And I was like, just involve yourselves in this and be part of that process and stuff like that. But, I mean, the leadership wasn't bad by any means. We just didn't really have a strong talker. I mean, when you look at Colton and Andrew, who are my two seniors, and without a doubt, the two weirdest guys on the team. Like, undeniably so. Colton's diehard Chiefs fan. All he does is talk about football and cars. And then I've got Andrew, who bakes fucking cookies and breaks into practice all the time. Not a joke. All the time. Mr. Helpful. Mr. Fix It. So, yeah. Not leadership qualities. Now, Jada, when Jada spoke up at the times that she did, I thought she did a fantastic job. I think that she was someone people wanted to hear from more. And Maggie would talk some, Mackenzie, and Carly would talk a lot. Now, Carly ends up, when we get to choreography camp, and it's all but certain that we're not going to put her on the mat. She doesn't have a standing tuck. She ends up finding out that she needs to have surgery on her knee, and she's going to be out for the whole year anyway. So I was really disappointed for her. Upset for her is probably the best word. Not in her, for her. She just had so much potential, and across the 3 of her 4 years, she had major surgeries all 3 of those years. First year she had knee surgery. Her last year she had knee surgery. And then her second year, I think her appendix burst, and she had to have that fixed on fall break. And the 1 year she got to do everything, it was the only year that she was healthy. The COVID year. And I hated that for her because Carly was a sweet girl. And when you think about, we wrote her about it and pushed her. I was never too bad, but I was very real with her. And then when you know that they're hurt and that she's been hurt and that she's probably been hurt for a long time and she's been fighting, I respect the shit out of that. I hate it. I hate that we asked someone to do that. We didn't know. She didn't know. But she'll always have respect in my book. Every day. And I love Carly to death. I thought she was fantastic. She had the heart for it. She just lots of injuries. And I hate to see that be the end of her season. Honestly, I really wanted her to make it. Because like I said, we gelled really well together. And then seeing just what became of it is just, you just can't take anything for granted, Yeah, but she was still around some, still vocal when she could be, still a part of the team, still supportive of the team. And then, like I said, there was just not really strong, consistent vocal leadership. And really I think a lot of the younger girls really looked up to Jada. As far as top girls, I know that they did because she was the only senior, the only experienced one. And then, Mackenzie and Maggie were nice. Like, everybody got along with all these people, except for Colton and Andrew. But the girls were really good. But, like I said, when you're setting what the personality is going to be and you're setting, we just need a little bit more spark at times. You want to have someone that's a little bit more vocally dominant. And at this point, we don't have that. I'm not saying that it's absolutely essential. And at this point, it's not a huge deal. But I feel like at times there are going to be times where we need a little bit more. And it's not that they're doing anything wrong. It's just you need that little extra sometimes, But anyway, we get on our way off to our KHSAA sectionals. I think this is another one where we travel damn near Bowling Green area just to compete against Graves County. Don't remember a whole lot. I remember being pretty excited for the day. I was nervous as shit about those inversions. I remember that for sure. Terrified, scared. But we went out there. The warm up was fine. I think there were some things that were a hiccup. But man, when I tell you we hit, there was some stuff that was a little sloppy. Like we got through the routine, but like we hit, we had really good energy. There's things to be happy about. And I was like, my God, we did it. I was so impressed. Just the fact that when I was a kid and I first started doing this, I was like, I want to do these inverted stunts. And I was like, I want to have a high school team that can do those. Like, me and my friends used to joke about that. And now it's a reality. Like I've come so long that the wildest imaginations that I've had for this are now like normal commonplace. And that's a perspective right there. Like, what are the people today dreaming of? And what's going to be legal tomorrow? It was, to me, it was very culminating in full circle. And like I said, we were competing against Graves again, and this is really the first time since I've had like my big closure and stuff with John and them that we've gotten to do this. So it was fun, a lot more respectful than I think it's been in the past, and we talked and integrated. And Graves came out and Graves hit a routine. I didn't think, and I told our kids after this, I didn't think that they were nearly as clean as what they normally were. They'd returned a lot of people from the COVID year. But I don't know for sure what all they had going on. They looked a little sloppy. They did hit, but normally they have characteristics of really sharp, super on time. They just didn't have all those variables that they normally did. So we ended up picking up the win. I was super ecstatic about that because it's not very often that we've won this regionals and had a good pace going into state for once. And then we went to Bluegrass Regionals, and this year it was being held in, I believe it was being held in Louisville, because they were doing construction on the that little conference center that's down there in Kentucky where they normally do bluegrass at the UK, at Rupp Arena. So this year's Louisville. I don't remember where it was. I remember going. I don't even remember much about the performance. I think it was okay. If we dropped anything, it wasn't anything that I really remember about. It was just different that we were in Louisville. Instead of like sending that, everybody can see everything. It's all over varsity TV. But I think just in general, I felt pretty good about the performance. Some things probably looked a little bit better. Some things were a little bit sloppier. But it was only like a week or two difference. At this point in the season, I'm thrilled. Like we're hitting, we're winning, we're doing well in practice. The energy's good. We don't have a lot of stupid drama. There were a lot of fucking things going so good, man. That it's like crazy that it was just like 2 weeks later that it just all started unraveling. It was almost like, I don't know, we had all the steam in the world and someone just popped the balloon just out of nowhere. We made a small upgrade in the second stunt. We were doing like the inversion to hands press extension. We did the inversion to hands press lib. Small change, nothing crazy. But like that's what we're going to do for state. Really, it wasn't too bad. About a couple weeks before, Colton had come to us and he was like, I can't come to practice for like 2 weeks. He was sick. He had COVID. And if he flat out told us, we'd have to report it, we weren't going to get to go to state. So Colton just stayed home. We didn't practice with him for like 2 weeks. And Colton's in the pyramids and he's in all the stunts and all the pyramids. So it was awesome. Great. Just what you want for 2 weeks leading into this. Right before, the weekend before state, I hosted my last Winter Classic that I did. And we haven't really talked about the Winter Classic a whole lot, and we will in the future. But this was definitely the biggest one. I had all the girls and the guys were pretty much on board with it. I think Colton was the only one that didn't come, but everybody else was there. They dressed up, and I made it super stupid. We filmed it. We streamed it live. There was a lot of people there. I remember that. I was like, this is getting ridiculous. Like, the amount of people. We had alumni there. We had, and I mean, we make it crazy. But, like, that was, like, one of my last normal things. Like, just getting to come in there and, like, host my own competition and having fun and giving them a chance to kind of unwind. And they've done so well. So many cool stuff. And, I remember that moment. And, like, because really the Winter Classic was just my childish dream come true. And they worked with that. And that meant a lot to me. Because it was goofy. And it was kind of a gimmick. But they embraced it. And they made something that most people would think is really silly. And I thought it was silly too. But they attacked it with such energy. And they tried to do the things. They tried to make Christmas-themed cheers. And they dressed up like reindeer and had signs and palm. And I loved it. It's fantastic. And having everybody together was really awesome. Those are good times, But we've been hearing on the radio, the news and Weather Channel about that storm that was coming in. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think nothing of it. I just figured it was going to be loud, noisy, but it won't be nowhere near me or nothing that I can worry about. But that had been going on all week, just kind of hearing the weather. Like I said, I just really didn't. I remember when I left my house that day, I didn't think anything of it. Friday, we travel up. I don't know if they got out of school early or well, we might have left early or something, but we took the bus. I think we practiced somewhere probably more than likely. Maybe with Kentucky. Maybe went to see Kentucky. I don't think that they were doing full outs at this point. I think I remember just going to the gym and watching them go through like cheering, maybe some stunts and stuff. And we came back to the hotel. We sat down. We had our talk with them and all that stuff. And then Jennifer comes out and she says, "Hey, you need to. Have you been watching the weather?" And I said, "No." And she said, "You might want to check on your family." And went upstairs and then kind of, a great tornado comes blowing through, I guess. I've said that I'm not going to talk about this a whole lot, and I'm not going to go into super lot of detail about it. But I was sitting in the hotel room and just trying to watch it all unfold. News Channel 6 on my phone. After it all, I remember calling Heather and the kids and frantically after I knew it had passed and just trying to get a hold of them. And they were in shitstorm at the moment when I got a hold of them, but they were trying to get out of the house, and it was like a tree had fallen and like crushed one of the cars and like blocked off the whole driveway. They couldn't leave. It didn't matter. It was pitch black. They weren't going to make it out of. They were going to make it off the street with all the carnage, but the house was standable. It was better than some. So, I mean, it hadn't completely fallen to the ground. So they stayed. And lots of people came up to me and asked me like, "Hey, we'll get you home." And honestly, I'm glad that I didn't ask. That I didn't ask anybody, because if we had left, when I finally got back to the town, there's absolutely no way that we would have made it to my house if we had left right then, 4 hours after that tornado hit. There's absolutely no way that I'd have been wandering around in the dark and God knows what. It's just the chaos, the traffic, the first responders. I came almost 2 days later and it was just insane. But yeah, so that's kind of what we did all night, was sit around and contemplate and kind of think about, because this is bad, like historically in the United States bad. But that morning I go and I have breakfast. I remember trying to just lock in. I think that's the right word. Just trying to lock in and trying to just make the most of this. Now, originally we were going to get to go at a pretty good time. We were pleased with the performance order we drew. Now, when the tornado comes in, they shift the times of the competition because some people are trying to travel through this crap and they're giving people the benefit of the doubt and giving them room. So they push the competition back later, which really throws us off, because if we had known that, we probably wouldn't have left or, done all we done. We would have made something. We would have done something, because our competition time got pushed back like 3 or 4 hours. So now we're trying to find stuff for them to do and not burn up their energy. So like we go to the mall, just a chance to sit down, let them have lunch, and we're walking around looking at all this stuff. I remember just being like fucking lost, just deja vu over all of it. Just kind of, I was there, man. I was there. Just like I was like, I just want to go and do this competition because I need something to take my mind off everything. And everybody's still coming up to you and asking. Now I really just want people to, because like when I'm with hanging out with people and just chatting and chilling, I'm not talking about it. I'm not bringing it up. I just want to go and do what we came here to do, and then I'll take care of whatever I've got to after that. There's nothing I can do to fix that. I can't change that situation. I can still make a difference here. So that's what I'm going to try to do. We finally get to go over to the venue. And we were in there when Graves County came out. And they announced them as being from Mayfield, which is, where just that tornado just hit. And I mean, it was one of the loudest ovations I've ever heard for a team. And they went out there and they absolutely murdered this routine. Hit it. Hats off to them. Incredible performance in an incredibly trying time. And, they hit it, smacked it, and the place was going absolutely bananas for them. People on their feet, standing ovation, like real shit. I was like, damn, that's going to be a lot. Just the performance aspect alone was just, it was a whole lot to even think about overcoming. And obviously when we went back there, we talked to them, and I've said this before, I spoke to them about just being here with me, and this is the last little bit of normal that I got. And, even looking back at that, I've said it before, I don't know if talking to them was the right decision, but it just seemed like it was on everybody's mind. People knew. People were thinking about the tornado, and they're thinking, I think a lot of us just kind of checked out in some ways, and I was just trying to reel everybody back in. Like, come on, man, let's do this together, Like, didn't nobody over there lose their home? I did. So let's get it together. I'm here. I've got something I want to do, and I need you guys to focus up and go out here and let's get this done. And the warm-up was pretty good. Like I said, I felt good after the talk. I felt like everybody was pretty ready to go. I felt ready to go. We're all excited. I think people were crying, so maybe, I don't know. I remember where I was sitting for this. It was at GRC again, and they came out. It started off really great. It was awesome. Toss libs in the beginning, smack, bam, good clean execution, good energy, boom, boom, boom. Tumbling's great. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm excited a little bit. I'm a little bit more animated probably than what I normally am. And Colton drops the inversion, which Colton had been out for like the last 2 weeks from COVID, or, drops it. And then I guess because this messed up, Landon got confused. And he was supposed to go to the pyramid, and he runs up to the front like he's going to do the cheer. And then he realizes it and tries to run back, but he can't make it in time. So one whole pyramid doesn't even go. We didn't drop it on the plus side, but we didn't do it either. Rest stream was fine. I kind of giggled and laughed about it. And, when they came off the floor, I was the first one to tell them that I appreciate them, that I'm proud of them. I'm glad I stayed. And, we knew right then that we weren't going to win, so we just told them, like, we for sure lost, and that's okay. For me, it was just a little bit of being normal. And at that point, it was time to load it all up and come home. And it was disappointing to lose. Obviously, I think Grace County had a performance that was outstanding. I don't know, even if we were perfect, for sure, if we could have beat them. I mean, yes, we did beat them at regionals, but this was different. The energy, the execution, there was an atmosphere about them. I don't know, given the circumstances, we could have duplicated that type of performance. I mean, we came close, but without hitting, it's hard to really tell. But I would have been interested to see what would have happened if we both had hit. But, no shame in that. They won. They did what they were supposed to do, and we didn't. Now I'm going to open up a little bit. So when we're coming back, Jennifer tells me she's staying in the area, Lexington area. And I'm going to ride the bus, get the kids back home. The ones that are still riding the bus, me and Allie. And they had implemented a curfew in my home Mayfield area. And I wasn't going to be back in time for the curfew. So I was going to have to find somewhere to stay. So I stayed. Jennifer told me that I could stay at their house. They weren't going to be there. They were staying in Lexington. I can't remember what they were doing. Maybe a soccer game for her son or something like that. But they were all going to stay up there, and they just told me I can go in and just chill. And I was like, okay. So that's what I did. Felt a little weird just going into... I might have been in Jennifer's house like a handful of times before this. So it was a little weird to just come in and like mosey around someone's house at like 1 o'clock in the morning. With my old car, and like I know their neighbors had to be like, who's this weird guy? Like, this is the kind of neighborhood where people like are paying attention for crap like that. Not like where I grew up, okay? Nope, not like where I live. So this is a little bit nicer of a neighborhood, a little bit nicer of a lifestyle than what I'm used to. But I just crashed there, and I was thankful to be able to. I think I bought some whiskey when I got into town. I might have had a drink or two. I didn't get rambunctious or tear nothing up. I just sat on the couch. I think I watched Star Wars I think that was the go-to, to be honest with you. I think it was just on. I don't think I had to like change the channel or anything like that. So that's nice. It's just weird to text somebody at 1 o'clock in the morning, like, "Hey, how do you work your television?" The next day on Sunday, I was coming back into town. This place is demolished because I got on the outskirts when I was coming in from Hickory, and I was probably about 2 miles from my house, and traffic was like at a standstill. Everything around me is just, I mean, leveled. Trees wrapped around, excuse me, literal cars wrapped around trees, like pieces just ripped to shreds. The whole power lines ripped up out of the ground. Buildings, I mean, in rubble, like unrecognizable. It looked like a war zone. There's news stations everywhere. And there's a lot. I mean, there's just so many people there. People coming in to do relief efforts. People coming in to do medicals. I mean, it was just packed. And from the time that I actually got into Mayfield, I mean, like I said, it takes me about 2 minutes once I hit the inset to get to my house. And it took me about an hour, I think, because even once I got past like the big traffic portions, like the first mile, it wasn't an easy path to get to my house. I had to drive like the zigzag formation that I had to cut through all these subdivisions and stuff like that to get to my home alone took me about 30 minutes. And it would have been just a straight shot. But there was like trees and power lines and stuff down on these two different roads. And I go through this side road and turn down this side road and cut through there. And then it was like a whole way around. I almost had to do like, when I leave my house, I had to do like a full loop around town to get back to where I wanted to get to. It was pretty bad. And I got there, and it wasn't long after I got there before some of the kids started showing up, which they shouldn't have. But when I got there, I checked on the kids and stuff like that. They were gonna go stay at with Heather and her mom. But there just wasn't. It's Heather, it's Madison who just had surgery for her ACL, and Destiny and Nathan and all my kids are there except for Abby. But she was down helping, trying to get stuff together, and it's a lot to ask any one person to stay. So I stay in the house the first couple nights. And the first night that I stayed there, I mean, we're talking like the house is off the foundation. There's like one room that I know absolutely do not go in there. Don't do it. Either the floor is going to fall in or it's going to fucking collapse on me. One of the girls' back bedrooms, I remember the window was just absolutely smashed in. Like half a tree basically inside the room. Tree on top of the house. Like tore up some roof work a little bit. Because it rained a couple times. I remember seeing like water spots on the ceiling. But yeah, man, it was obviously no power. I turned the water on. It's like brown. I was like, I'm not drinking that. I don't know what's going on. It was just, everything was so messed up. It's just, house is a whole mess from the wind and everything coming in. They left the doors open so that the idea of the house wouldn't just tumble over, rip the roof off before anything. But just slung shit all over the house. It's just an absolute mess. And then because of all that, you got bugs and stuff for getting into the house. It's cold and you got it warm in here. I had a kerosene heater in the living room. I didn't have enough kerosene to keep it warm all night, unfortunately. Because that first night I didn't have anything. I didn't board up my windows, or I didn't have anything. So this is December. It was 11 degrees. It sucked. Because, during the day, everybody's really helpful, bringing stuff, and they're very supportive. When it got dark, man, everybody was gone. Everybody that you wanted help from, they're not there no more. And there was a lot of people running around at nights looting. They had police and National Guard a couple days after this first night roaming around trying to, because people were just looting shit, coming in from out of state and coming into people's homes and taking what they had, what they could find. And it was that first night. And just when it got darker, I just remember how sad it was. Because you could, like, there's no power. I mean, it's pitch black outside. There's no lights, nothing. And this is a city. I remember I could hear people crying at night. And there was one night someone tried to break in while I was there. That was fun. Not a good night for either one of us, unfortunately. Just it was bad, and that's where I was living for as long as I could, anyway. Just hard, you know. Everything that you work for, everything that you have, it's all. It's a lot. I lost a lot of stuff. I lost stuff. I don't even know what I lost it. Just the way that it is. Everybody's. My dog's afraid when the wind blows. He was in the house during the tornado. He's terrified of the wind. I took him out to the bathroom this morning. It's been years. The wind blew a little bit. Not even raining outside. Scared him. Terrified. Wants to go inside. Kids, Heather, they're all the same way now. They can't stand bad weather. It's hard. And it messes you up, obviously. Losing your home, fighting off robbers, stuff of that nature. It's just. And my back was bothering me. At this point was where I remember the pill stuff was getting pretty bad. Because it's miserable to be at home. So I just take pills. So I can go to sleep. Because my first few nights I was doing that. Just pop 2 or 3, pass out. But I only had enough kerosene to get through so many hours before I had to fill it. But I passed out. This thing killed at like 4 o'clock in the morning. When I woke up at 7, it was like ice in the house. Freezing. And it happened so quick, but I've got a gigantic fucking hole in the wall. So, it's going to get a little cold fast. A few days after, I remember Andrew came down. God bless that kid. I think he was skipping school. Honestly, I don't know what he was doing. But he came down, and he was a big help to me. And I can't begin to tell him how much I appreciate it. And Corey, that was Carly's dad, he came in and got me some tarp, helped me cover up my ceiling, keep from water damage, brought me supplies and stuff like that. I boarded up my windows. It was a really, I was super appreciative of all that. Like I said, during the day, awesome. People come around bringing food. I had water out. I had like 65 bundles of bottled water on my porch. Like, it was so much I couldn't even fit it in the house. Just everywhere. Just, you want to take it. It is what it is. Not long after, someone came through and inspected the house and said, hey, we're going to give this old boy the axe. So at that point, it was just trying to figure out where am I going to go now. And got to find someplace soon. They were giving me some leeway on not like condemning it right there at that point because just so chaotic at that point. But during that time, I didn't ever miss a single practice. Came to every single one. I missed work. I took off from work. I was like, yep, I'm not doing all this while this is going on. And, we got all my windows and stuff boarded up, but I would stay and beg at points because it got to the point where I was like, till the power comes on, man, I'm not sleeping well, not doing good. I'm just stressed, fatigued. I'm going crazy. Like it's bad enough to be here working during the day, trying to get everything together, trying to get everything packed up so you can move to you don't know where. but then sleeping in it in the middle of the night, and it was just rough. So there were some nights that Jennifer let me crash with her. I would stay with my friends. One of the girls on the team, her mom offered me their lake house, which was nice. It was out in the middle of fucking nowhere, but it was nice. And, they did a lot to take care of me. And the part that I fucking hate. My girlfriend had started a GoFundMe, or one of her friends started a GoFundMe for us, asking for money, for help. And I cannot begin to tell you how just sick that makes me. I hate asking for help for anything, let alone asking people for money. But the reality of it was I just I wasn't ready for something like this. I wasn't prepared. But it just, to this day, that still hurts my pride. That I had to post on social media about my GoFundMe because I couldn't. Bad enough that you lost your home. Bad enough that you've lost this and that. But now you gotta piss on your pride too. It sucked. It was a terrible time. Terrible. But practices were fun, so it was nice. But during this, like I said, I had some good times just connecting with people, and I got a lot of people donated money to me. I was super appreciative of that, and they would talk to me and text me and call me and harass me and stuff, and it just. Jennifer litigated a lot of that stuff for me, thankfully. And she was just like, hey, just leave him alone, give him some space. And that's really all I wanted. I just wanted to be sad at my own pace. When the lights finally got back on, I came back to the house. It was probably about 2 or 3 weeks afterwards. And from there on, I stayed there. As long as I had lights on at night, so as the house got packed up, I could kind of have a normal. It was pretty much I could use the living room and the bathroom, and they had got the water stuff sorted out. And then parts of the kitchen. Like the closest one to the area was I'd probably like a little small rectangle that I could operate in. A little deep freeze and a microwave over there, but there was not enough. If I had turned on the oven, I think I'd have blown the breaker. Or with all the damage to the house, I'm afraid I was going to burn it down. So it's like, well, the microwave's safe, and my PlayStation's pretty good. So I just sat here and I watched movies. I think I watched House a lot. I had all 8 seasons on DVD. Blu-ray maybe. I can't remember. I still got it. I haven't watched it since then because I'm so sick of the fucking show. But yeah. So, but I remember practices were going really well. We've been working on some upgrades. I was positive, and I loved coming to practice. I loved getting a chance to get out of it. Man, I couldn't wait to be there. Just ecstatic. In every sense of the word. Like, I love it. Happy to be there. And I'm coming up and stunting some still too. Everything's good. Like I said, the whole energy, the whole vibe of the team's good. Yes, my situation sucks, but it is what it is. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming, for now anyway. We had learned pretty early on in the season that Coach Allie was not going to come back the next year. She just had a baby. I think she was getting ready to have a second one maybe. And she had some issues with her child care, just like her family stuff too. She had a lot going on, She wasn't going to come back. So we were like, okay. So we had put out feelers about who we were going to hire. And they do the whole thing through the school, and we get some candidates. And I really think we had 3 that I knew of that I remember being in conversation about. And Jennifer had trusted me at this point. After everything I did the year before, I was blessed in that I was given a lot more responsibility. I think I was looked at as very dependable, someone that she could have these conversations with. So we had these conversations about these people, and I sat down. I was in the interviews with almost all of them, and then You make your choice. And we ended up taking Sarah. That was the coach for the middle school, Reedland. That was our middle school. We were like, okay, she's got some cheerleading experience. She's got some competitive experience, and like, is she gonna be? Because when we had asked, Jennifer had asked me originally, like, do we even want to try to get somebody? I was like, I think that we should, because you're talking about retiring, and I just don't think that this is gonna be me. I don't think that I'm gonna be the guy. I don't think that I want to be the guy making the decisions, making the calls. It's a big responsibility. So I remember we interviewed Adia. I was really excited about Adia. I'd coached Adia at McCracken my first year. She's on the GOAT squad. I wanted her. We'd interviewed her. After we did the interview and we went over all the responsibilities, she said, I just don't think that this is something that I'm prepared for. I respect it. Hated it. I really wanted Adia. I was excited to work with her, but we ended up going with Sarah. And Sarah, enthusiastic. Not very knowledgeable about some of the stuff that we need. I mean, she'd be good as far as like normal assistant type stuff, paperwork and that jazz, cheers, ball games, traveling, parent meetings, stuff like that. But the level that we're playing at, she's not accustomed to. And some of our stuff, I won't say I disliked her, because I think I liked her quite a bit outside of cheerleading. I didn't care for her at all in the context of cheerleading. So that's fun too. But she didn't ever annoy me too bad until we got to the end. But so we've got all that. Now we've got everybody together. We've got the whole rodeo. We're getting ready. We know we've got our Moorhead Showcase at the beginning of January. And we got the bad news. Bears coming back to town again. This time, Haley had not been in practice like the day before. And then she came this time. I remember her dad was with her and she was crying, like sobbing, hysterical. I was like, that's not good. I don't know what that is, but that's not good. And her dad had talked to Jennifer, and then Jennifer came back and said that Haley had mono, and that she was going to be out for a while, at least 2 weeks minimum. So I'm like, well, shit, there goes our season. Because at this point, we're thinking it could be 6 to 8 weeks, reasonably. She's in all of our stunts, the inversion, toss stretch that we just put in the beginning. She's in all that. I mean, the opening was pretty simple. We went to 4 of our stunts, 4 toss stretches. I think Davin was with Haley, so we just took that one out. And then in the inversion, we'd replaced Haley with Ansley. And she picked up on it pretty well. Obviously, it was a little nerve-wracking because we're going to throw you into this, something that we spent all year working on and that you haven't really gotten to do. We're going to ask you to get really good at it really fast in like 2 weeks. Now, the added advantage is that everybody else in our group knows how to do it. And it was a little bit easier for her to pick up on just because she had some experience going on with it. And Davin was able to tell her what he wanted, what he needed, and stuff like that. So they ended up making that work. And we go to the Moorhead Showcase. So this is, I think I went back to work like right after this. I'm sure we did like V-Rock and all kinds of other stuff too. I honestly don't even remember it. I don't really even remember a whole lot about the Moorhead State performance. I remember that we hit, and I remember that it was fucking good. And I was nervous because I didn't know if we were going to hit or not. We had decided we were going to take that inversion instead of going to hands. We're going to go all the way to the top. We're going to go to extension, down lib. And there had been a lot of debate over that and how we were going to do that and if that was even the right call. But we just decided that we couldn't sit around and get complacent. And at this point, too, even with us, we're losing a one stunt from our opening. And we got the 4 stretches. We got the 4 inversions. We're a little bit small on numbers. Ideally, you want to be at 5. So we're like, we really need to push the difficulty to answer to this issue because that's the only way that we're going to stay competitive. We can't produce the numbers, so we've got to push this difficulty as best we can. But the Moorhead Showcase went really well. And then when we came back, things weren't bad. It's still, these skills are a little bit harder. You're going to have some hiccups here and there. That's part of it. But I think Haley had gotten better. She had gotten cleared anyway. And we were getting ready to do the Infinity America's Cup. Now, we had done this the year before, and I didn't talk about this in our last video. It's just a virtual thing. Everybody sends in a video, and it's like, there's no divisions. It was just everybody's in co-ed, all-girl, NCA, UCA, and whatever fucking A. We were just all together, and they compared us and how they did it. They made a little TV show. It was on YouTube. It was really nice. And this time they were going to come here to Paducah and to the convention center and do an actual competition. It was going to be us and Graves and Blackman. And they originally told us you can do small, medium, and large, just like we are. Blackman's small, we're medium. Graves is large. We can each win. And we were like, all three of us unanimously like, we're just going to compete against each other. Which is an odd thing. But we were like, yeah, let's do it. Because we thought that we were special. We thought that we were doing good. We thought that we deserved to be in that competition. We thought we could be competitive, and we thought that we could win it. And I'm sure that all three of them thought the same thing. But we felt good. This is a test that we need right before nationals. We need the feedback. We need the comparison. We need the pressure situation. And they did this arena up really, really nice. Because I know like Steve and everybody that came down and set it up. It looked really good, especially for our convention center. And I was like, this is very impressive. The venue was really nice. They did a good job with it. I remember being hyped up. And now we went ahead and we put Haley back out on the floor. Should we have done that? I remember being kind of, I think I was on the fence about it when we were talking about it. I think we all were, really. But it just came down to like, we just felt like we needed that number. And like she's not really gotten to practice. Conditioning has kind of gone out the wind from being sick and being weak. And we just kind of put her out there. And then they dropped that opening stunt. Obviously understandable. Then Davin dropped to the inversion after that. I think we got second place. The Blackman ended up hitting, so they won. It was pretty easy. But like I said, nice competition. It's good intensity. But in my mind at this point, it's like there's the last two big moments we've botched on, had some mistakes. Does that happen? So, but like I said, the first two we didn't. Now these routines are harder, but some of the stuff like we're dropping, like this is the mental game, playing against each other, and you need someone that can verbally lead your team through that. They don't have it. Coaches pick captains, teams pick leaders. And that's what I think of when I think of Davin Perkins. I used to call him the EST, the biggest, the baddest, the fastest, the strongest, the best. And he was. He was also a really outstanding leader without always taking initiative to do so. He was very inviting to everybody. He was friendly. He was incredibly hardworking, and he would give people opportunities. And he was always laughing and always bringing other people in with him. And I think that's one of the reasons why they wanted him to be the leader. But Davin was a lot like Jon Snow. I don't want it. And it's not a bad thing. I used to go to him and beg him about it. I didn't understand it. And then a year later, when I was in those same shoes, I finally got it. He wasn't afraid of it. He wasn't running from it. He understood the responsibility of it. And it's a lot to ask somebody to carry and lead this team when you're just trying to find your own way most of the time. You're just trying to do your own thing. You're just trying to survive. You're just trying to get this experience, and now you want this responsibility thrown on your shoulders too. Always knew that he could be. And it hurts me a lot that I didn't ever get to see what it was. I wish I had understood that more. Because I think it would have put a whole lot more in perspective for me. He's absolutely talented. One of the best ever. I never saw that manifest. I never got to see the end, but I know that it happened because I got to see that final image of him holding that trophy. And I knew that he finally was the leader that I always thought that he was going to be. And there were, like I said, there were Colton and there were Andrew. Now, Davin was supposed to be a senior, but he had opted for the COVID, so technically he's still a junior. But normally that would have probably been something that we probably would have been harder on him about. But that was who people naturally wanted. And I'm not blaming him. I understand that. And I get that 100% now. Like, sometimes it's enough to juggle your own responsibilities, let alone take on everybody else's. And to be responsible for the whole. But sometimes you don't feel comfortable if you're doing everything right or if you're doing everything wrong. It's hard to look at sometimes. I do feel like we needed something strong, especially right here in this stretch. But I trusted it too. Like I said, things are still going well at practice. There's really not been a lot of hiccups or anything bad. So let's go ahead and get to the big dance, shall we? Now we've hit several performances leading up to this. I remember when we get to go, it's just excited to go because we didn't get to go the year before. So this is a whole new perspective looking at it now. The travel down was pretty smooth. Bus to the airport down to Disney, wait around forever for Disney to come get us and take us back over to the hotel. Being in Orlando was smooth. I mean, the practices were pretty good at first. It was exciting just to finally get out and go to Disney World. Like I said, after not getting to go the year before, it was fun. And then you got all the young people that are all excited and ready to go, and they deserve the break. They've done, like I said, I'm superly thrilled with this team. They've done everything that I've asked them to do. They did everything that I asked, and they deserve to have that fun. Not really any kind of hiccups. I mean, when people are together for a long time, they can get a little frustrated, and we ended up having some of that towards the end. But as far as like, I think like Thursday, Landon wasn't feeling good. He got a little hot at the parks. And then we had to go to practice that night with Top Gun. And he looks awful. He feels bad. He's terrible. And his mom is like, she's there. And she's like, he's not. She's like, totally did not want him to go over this. But I was like, buddy, if he's going to feel like this on Saturday, I need him to be ready for it, potentially. So I had to be a man. I guess that's the way I went. I remember I went up to his mom, and as stonely as I have ever said this to anybody in my entire life, I've got this is by far what I think when a man takes control. This is the only time in my life where I've ever felt like I just did that. Like I know that's crazy, but I remember I looked at her and I was like, listen, I was like, I'm gonna take care of your kid. I was like, I need to know if he can do this. I was like, no, he doesn't feel good. And no, he's not going to feel better after this. I was like, but I am going to take care of him. I'm not going to let anything happen to him that shouldn't. But I need to know. And he needs to know. And he needs to be prepared for it. And he needs to feel it. But I want you to trust me. I was like, I'm going to take care of your kid. Just what I need to see him to do. And then he can sit down. And he'll be fine. And we're going to leave him alone. We're not going to drive him to the ground. And this woman folded. I'm folded. She trusted me in that moment. I had never spoken to his mother before a day in my life until that. She trusted me. And kind of let me be that guy that Landon needed. It's crazy to think that actually happened. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, we got him over there. We practiced at Top Gun. It was a little rough, but we got him through it. I think we only used him for like warmed him up, let him do one full out. And I think we just iced him at that point. Just eat this banana orange. We had a Gatorade, keeping him relaxed, keeping him cool. It was really cool inside the gym. I do remember that. It was kind of freezing cold. But we did that both days. I think we did it again on Friday and stuff like that. And like I said, going into this, or no, it would have been Thursday. Going into this, I felt probably as good as I have ever felt. Now, that Friday, this is the big turnaround for us, is that this year they're doing prelims. Excuse me, or for us, we just have semis and finals on 2 different days. Normally, in all the years that I've gone for this, it's all been on Saturday. It's going to be different this year. We're doing Friday morning and we're doing like Saturday afternoon. So I'm like, okay. So I can't remember what time we went on Friday. It wasn't too bad. There wasn't a whole lot of time from get up to get ready, we're going, which was good. Not a lot of time to think. You get up, you got to get ready, you got to go. You're moving constantly. You don't have time for things to settle in your mind. And it felt so good to walk up that hill again, to go into the arena, to go through the warm-up. I don't remember a lot about the warm-up, but I remember the performance. And I can't remember where we were in prelims. We were probably somewhere towards the back end based on what time. I think it started at like 8 in the morning, and we were probably somewhere around 11. But we hit, man. We had like one small In the second half, everybody did a toss extension, and one guy injured did a bump extension. But I mean, smacked this routine. We were ecstatic. Brother Martin hit. I think Stewart's Creek hit. I mean, it was overall a really, really good preliminary round. The performance was great. We were over the moon about it, and I was like, I feel good. We got them. We got them all on the bus, and we're going back to the hotel. We're going to cool down a little bit. I think we were going to practice one more time and call it a day. But when we were looking over the scorecards and stuff like that, and I was like, we won stunt difficulty. We got a 9.6, and Brother Martin was in second with a 9.5. And I was like, damn, that's really close But they had more numbers than we did, but our difficulty was better because we had that inversion, and that was offsetting. Even though we only had 4 of them, it was a good risk. It ended up appearing, it was offsetting that big a number of skins because the difficulty was just so much higher than even what that quantity that they were putting out was. So it's like, okay, we were probably about 3 points in the lead or something like that. I mean, we was pretty comfortable. I felt really good just knowing that the chances that we took had kind of paid off. Like I said, I felt so good. Just positive. But time is a bitch. And the longer you guys sit in it, the problems start to arise. Now, that night we probably had like a big powwow talk and stuff like that. And it, goes how it always does. It's emotional stuff. It's hard to convey that stuff out loud. I remember being in the hotel that night and just looking at all the coaches, and I was like, I feel good. I feel like we're going to do this. I thanked everybody for all their support and all the money that they gave me and being able to get me into a new home, which I did. That was awesome. Boys helped move me in there. We just loaded it all up in a U-Haul and went down to Mayfield and packed all my shit in a U-Haul and brought it. Found a place here in Paducah that was a pretty good catch for me at this point. It's expensive as hell, and I'm still living in it. Jesus Christ, is it expensive. But Saturday just seemed weird from the beginning. I don't know. I didn't necessarily notice it at first. It seemed like everything was cool, but some of the kids were getting kind of nitpicky, and I think it just boils down to being around each other for too long. And, not everybody got along all that well. Despite the fact that the energy was always pretty good, and nobody was, like, heinously awful to each other. Some people don't gel together over a long period of time. People getting annoyed with each other and kind of hissy-fitting and kind of throwing the mood off. I remember a lot of this warm-up because I think it was just bad. I remember coming over. I remember as soon as we got there, we had to have a conversation with one girl because she's causing problems. I don't even know what the fuck she was doing. And I don't know why she was doing it because she was a junior. I don't know why she was opening her mouth or running it. I don't know why she was stirring the pot and being negative or whatever the fuck it was she was doing. But if I could have kicked that kid off the team right then and there, I would have done it. I couldn't. Spoke to her about it. Pretty sure that made it worse. So that's better. Yeah, just going great. The whole energy is off. And energy is one thing. For a young and inexperienced team, energy is a big thing. For teams that don't have a very strong vocal leader to take control in that moment, it's a big thing. And that's what it was. Became a problem and probably threw us off helter-skelter, and it didn't get any better from there. I remember we had like the on deck. We were like out there at the football field, like on deck or whatever the fuck it's called, and just kind of warming up stunts, getting ready. Then you go into the building, you go through all the stuff, you go through your warm-up, you get ready. And like I said, I still felt good about it. And we went pretty early, so I think we were the second team to go. And I was sitting there and I watched the first team go. And I was like, man, they're terrible. And there's like some other teams in between from different divisions. And then we're coming out. Now, I want to preface this by saying about 4 days prior to this, I'm sitting at the airport. And I've been filming all year long. Filming practice stuff and interviews and stuff with the kids and random fun to give them. I want to put together like a big like little documentary video talking about everything. I filmed everything from me talking after practices on how things are going, giving updates. Like I was building like a video calendar of the entire year essentially. And I was filming Colton. I asked him, well, what do you think about this weekend? And he said, and I quote, honestly, we could lose, but as long as I don't fuck up, I think I'll be okay. But I really hope that doesn't come back to haunt me now. And when I tell you it was ding 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 and the prophecy had unfolded, it came true. It was going bad immediately. First things first, Davin and Haley drop toss stretch. It's assisted with Andrew. I know exactly what happened. I've watched this video 8 million times. Okay, I'm going to live with that. Because here's what I'm going to say. We shouldn't have put her in this situation. At the time, I thought it was awesome. Looking back at it 3 years from now, it was a bad decision. We got to live with that. But I think that was the wrong decision. Super talented, super capable. It was a lot to ask from someone to be terribly sick for 4 or 5 weeks and then ask them in 3 weeks to get back in the same level of shape, the same routine, with different skills and harder skills than what they were doing before. It wasn't fair to her. Maybe we wouldn't have won, but I rest my case on, and I've told her that before. She didn't like that answer. she obviously she did, but like I said, as a coach, sometimes you got to step in and you got to make the right decisions. I didn't voice that opinion. I'm sure other people thought it, but nobody voiced it, and I definitely didn't say anything. So I should have. And then from there we go to the tumbling section, and Emily does a round off bag buster. Because that's what she round offs and just fucking flying, just round off to the back, just rolls, keeps on going. She's supposed to round off handspring tuck. She round off, rebounds into the abyss, just gone. I was like, well, this ain't going good. Everything else fine. We get to the second stunt, the inversion. I was like, okay, we can hit this. I'll be happy. And we dropped. Davin drops Ansley. Noah drops Audrey. And they're both like counter each other. So it's like one hit, one didn't. One hit, one didn't. And it's in a V. So there's only 2 stunts in the air. And they get through the whole sequence. Hit it fine. I remember Davin and Noah looking at each other. They're both supposed to be holding stunts and staring at each other. I was like, well, it can't get much worse. It did. They went to do the first pyramid, and I guess they were just Davin and Briley and Landon. I guess they just got off count, off timing, and they just sent her to her death. Essentially, threw her up, like Purdue up for like a hand in hand, and it just was death, like coming straight down head first. They caught her, thank God. I remember Raymond shrugged, put his heads down. I said, oh my God. I remember reaching over and I grabbed Raymond and I said, stay with them. We're going to watch them. We're going to finish this. Look up, support them. They can't see us with our head down. You watch them. This is what we sent them out there to do. We finish it. And everything that happens, we live with it. And, the cheer was great. There was people crying, doing the signs in the front. Yeah. And then the second half was banging good. Awesome. Pyramid hits, boom. But tumbling touchdown and 4 stunt drops ain't going to make it. We came back. We watched the video. We know what's getting ready to happen. And we find us a nice secluded spot in the bleachers for this Cry Fest, because it's, when we got them over there, I mean, we got them, and it's kind of quiet. Like, we're waiting to kind of gather them up. But Jennifer texted their parents, go ahead and come over there, because some of them just want to cry with mom and dad, and they should. And I remember Caroline asking me, she's like, can I go see my mom? And I had to be like, no, because I didn't get to tell her that we had asked her mom. She looked just pissed off at me. I remember that. But mom did come. We reached out to him. We gave him a chance to talk and kind of look at everything. And this was much different from the year before when we had the one drop and just absolute meltdown. There were people upset, and they had every right to be. But nobody acted stupid. Nobody made a sign of it. But it was, almost everyone. Except for Colton. I look up. I see Colton in the bleachers. He's got his hand around his girlfriend Maggie. She's crying. Colton's not. He's got a grin on his face because he was the only fucking one. Him and Jacob were the only ones that went out there and they did it. I was like, you little shit. I was joking with kids right after, man. Just being like, hey, hey, it happens. I mean, it was one of those things like, I mean, so caught off guard. In the moment, so caught off guard. Looking back at it now, I could pinpoint a lot of different things that I would do differently. I can't do that. Can't change anything. It is what it is. And it became a learning experience. And this is where I really got pissed off at Sarah. Because we told the kids, like, okay, go, watch the rest of the competition, get you something to eat. We're chilling. And then me and the coaches are convening. We're like, well, what's going on? We're trying to figure out what happened. We don't have a clue. It's just shock. Like, we bombed. Like, not only are we not winning, we're not going to make it very far up the totem pole. You know what I'm saying? And we had talked about it, and just the words came out of her mouth, and I had to do everything that I could to restrain myself. Sarah said, she's like, well, we did everything that we could do. And I tried really, really hard. And I started on it, and Raymond cut me off. Because this is getting ready to get fucking bad. I was about to unleash a tirade on her because I was like, don't sit there and tell me it's their fault. Fuck you. Like, if you send kids out there and they have that many mistakes, it's not their fault. That's your fault. The coach. They can only do, I've said this a million times, they can only do what you ask them to do, and they can only execute what you prepare them to execute. Did that performance in any way, shape, or form look like we did our fucking job? I don't think I ever talked to her again after that moment. And I understand in the moment I was pissed. Those are my kids. We're not doing that. You're not going to put that shit on them. Yeah, they had mistakes. They got enough to live with. I was paying it at this point. Like I said, pill use is off the fucking charts at this point. That was the shitty part. When I was in Orlando, I didn't even have any. I was fiending probably. And I was just combustible fucking element. And I was like, after everything, I was like, fuck this, man. But anyway, we just convened and sat around and just kind of thought. I mean, I remember just thinking about it constantly. Like, didn't know what to say. What do I tell them? We came in, we did awards. I think we got 9th place out of 10. So I was like, okay, cool. Is what it is. I wanted to do those. A lot of the skills that we dropped, I wanted to do. Pushed to do it. Trained and prepared them to do it. And I didn't do my job. That sucks. I felt like this team did everything that I asked them to do. And I feel like it boils down to I didn't ask them to do the right things. This team taught me so much about how little winning actually means. I'd been so obsessed with it and I was tortured by the idea of being successful, of winning. But there were days when I came into practice and I was just happy to see them. I enjoyed all of them. They were fun, and they made me laugh, and they made life not be so hard. And I was excited not just to coach cheerleading, but to see and spend time with these people. The interactions and the growth, and I realized, not even in this moment, but looking back on it now, I realized that I let the heart of it really get away from me. And this team really showed me that. I became so obsessed with rings and medals and jackets that I I forgot to celebrate the little things. I forgot to enjoy the journey. I always call it the bullshit, but it's not. It's the most important part. The friendships and the family and the trust and just caring because you care. I've always been a passionate person, and I've never been afraid to show my emotions. These kids made me feel a lot of different new ones. And I think I'd spend the rest of my career chasing this level of happiness that I got from this group, even though we didn't win. I love this team, and I love these people. And I was mad at myself, honestly. When we came back, I was really mad at me because, like I said, I felt like I didn't prepare them the correct way or didn't ask them to do right things. And all these families just gave me all this money, helped me out, and then I let them down here. And you might be like, well, that's not the right way to think about it. Well, that's the way that I thought about it. Doesn't matter if it's right. Do you see the wheels starting to fall off? Because I didn't have a clue. Now let's put an end to this story. Well, at least this chapter. I'm going to talk about some stuff I've never talked about openly before. I'm going to talk about some things that I can't go into a lot of detail about. I choose not to, because there's things that involve my personal life. But let's do it. The Sunday after Nationals, I remember it was a great day. One of the last really, really great days that I had with everybody. I remember that morning we got up early, like 6 in the morning, to go over to Disney World to ride the Rise of Resistance, the Star Wars ride. I had like 15 kids with me. Everybody wanted to go. And I was excited. Awesome ride, loved it. That night, I remember I come back and just chilled the room, went to the block party, and I was like, I don't want to go to the block party and watch these kids dance. And then I got lucky that all the freshman girls wanted to go off and ride rides. I was like, I'm with y'all. It was me, all the freshmen, and I think Haley and Winter with us. And we just rode like Splash Mountain. We rode Seven Dwarfs Coal Mining Train. We rode Space Mountain. Had a blast. Fun. And they were so funny. Constantly laughing. Just giggling and being goofy. And it was really nice to have that, to get to step out of that world for a minute and just focus on being there, and the fact that I'm in Disney World and we're in Florida and we're having fun, and it doesn't matter all this other bad shit. Just be in this moment, and I appreciate them for that. And that it was a special night for me. Of all my trips to Disney World, that was by far my funnest. So thank all you girls very, very much for that. I appreciate you guys to no end. When we came back, it probably didn't take me very long before I started going to the dungeon again and getting back and getting ready to crank these reps. And then about the end of February, I got a phone call that was difficult. Someone had passed away close to me, and it was very unexpected. I remember I called Raymond that morning, and I told him what all was going on. I remember I was just crying. Just a lot. I don't want to say it out loud. But it was hard on me. And all the hours I'm doing at work. And I'm starting to feel a lot of pressure to be more in the gym, to break through this. There's this glass ceiling. I'm like, if I can just break this glass ceiling, I can rest. If I can get them over this hump that's going to open up this whole new skill set for them, then I can do that. That's all I got to do. I just got to, we didn't talk about, well, we're going to do some back handspring ups. We're going to do some hand to hands. I'll just do it. I'll make it happen. I'll teach these girls. I'll do what I got to do. Just, I need to do this. Which is not a logical response to finding out the things that I found out. To losing the people that I lost, losing your home. I hated work. Hated it. I was so miserable from being there all the time. And then, you get another phone call and then at that point it's like everybody knew, and that made it harder. Because it's like you can't run from it, you can't escape it, you can't ignore it. I could see the way people looked at me. They knew. They felt sorry for me. I could see it in their eyes, and I just wanted to keep doing the job, Just wanted to do the work in it. For the life of me, I should have stepped away. I should have taken the time off. I should have but I was so fucking close, man. That's what I told myself. I'm so close to getting them there. Haley's getting better. Audrey's getting better. Briley's getting better. Ansley's getting better. You're so close. Loved this for as long as I can remember. I've been obsessed with it to the point that I neglected so many things in my life. I made this a priority when it probably shouldn't have been. And when I was hurting the most, I did that again. I just ignored everything in my life. But I was spinning out of control. Like when I wasn't at practice, I was fucked up. Like bad messed up. I never, ever, ever, ever stunted under the influence, ever. Never on my pain pills, ever. Never did it. Never. Not one time. But I'm pushing my body way beyond its limit. My knees shot, my back shot. I had nerve damage in my elbow around this time. I still have lingering problems with that to this day. Got nerves pinched in my elbow, and at the time it was just radiating pain down my forearm and my fingers on my right arm. And like today, most of the pain's gone, but I've lost feeling, and I have dulled sensitivity in my ring finger and my pinky finger. Numbness on the outside of my right hand, completely numb. I can't feel anything. And then I constantly have tingliness up my forearm and dulled sensitivity. At this point, it's been 3 years. I don't think that I'm going to get that back. That's all gone. Obviously not too. But I used to take the pills because I was hurting, but I just got to the point where I couldn't even tell. I think that everything in my head was manifesting in a physical form. That's what my therapist says anyway. But yeah. So what do? You just take the pills. Oh, I'm just gonna take a couple so I can go to sleep. That's where it started. Like, oh, my knee's hurting a little more today. I'll take another one. And then at some point it just, when's enough? And I'm emotionally like a pendulum, I would describe it. Swinging back and forth. Mood swings. But I mean, I'm doing incredible work in the gym. We went to Shelton State, learning all these skills again. And I mean, I am getting the most praise that I've ever gotten in my entire life for the work that I'm doing. I've taught a lot of the girls how to do back handspring ups. I've taught a lot of the girls how to do hand in hands and front handspring ups. I mean, the work that I am putting out is undeniably the best work that I've ever done in my life. Undeniably. You cannot touch it. I can't anyway. Nothing in my history tracks for what I was able to accomplish with those people this year. Nothing. But I was just unstable, falling apart, and you can't have people like that in charge of kids. Not. I needed to go, and there were several people that told me you should take a break. Just go take a break, and I was, it's coming. The break's coming. I just got to get through this. That's all it is. I just got to get through this. I was so wrapped up in this idea that I had to pay all these people back by helping their kids win. I remember Brandon had lost someone similar to how I had. He had come in and we were talking. I remember just crying. And I'm like, man, I just got to make this work. If I can just do this and stay busy here. And he didn't say anything to me, but I know he knew. And I was just crying. Did the whole thing down to Shelton State, went down to Florida. On the way back from Florida, we dropped. I remember Noah in the car asked me, he's like, did you have fun? I remember just crying. And he didn't know. He didn't know what to think. But I just said, yeah. I said, I'm trying. I was so wrapped up in everything that I didn't address any of my problems. Everything was just festering and getting bad. And then nothing, like I said, I'm not sleeping. I'm just popping pills. I remember I come home from a stunt session, it'd be 9 o'clock at night when I get home. I just sit in my car till 12 until midnight, just thinking. Just didn't want to go home and sit in there and stare at the walls. It got dark. It got bad for me. And to be honest with you, there's a whole lot that I don't really remember. And I don't know. I don't know if it's blocked out of my brain from the pills, just being too messed up to remember it, or it was just such an emotional. It's like a flip. I remember saying it. I remember telling Jennifer once that I just felt disconnected, disassociated. I'm here but I'm not. It was pretty bad. And you're like, I'm sure that everybody thinks this is concerning. I was playing it pretty well, but I didn't play it good enough. Obviously, you break down crying and enough people are going to start noticing. And I remember being snippy with kids and complaining about stupid stuff. Because I'm sitting, and I'm tearing up my body, and I've got girls complaining over who's going to be in this stunt next year and who's going to be here and who's going to be there. And I'm like, and they didn't see that my vision was that it was going to be everybody. I wanted to do a big pyramid where all the top girls were in the pyramid. We did 4 or 5 structures. What we had done the year before was not going to be the blueprint. And they're just fighting with each other sometimes. A couple of them were. Briley never said anything and Audrey didn't either. But the top girls were kind of being about that. And I was pissed because is this not fucking enough? Am I not doing enough right now? You understand that if you had been around at any other point in time during this program's history, you would be the star of the show. I'm sorry that everybody's fucking good. This is what and I don't know. I should have been able to handle it better, and I couldn't. Everything just felt like a waste away. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to do anything. I just felt like the light was gone. And it was. But I didn't like talking about it with people that I didn't know. That was the whole thing that kind of put me off about the therapy stuff. But there's lots of people that do it. This is what I found out now. People do it all the time. It's a pretty normal occurrence. But at the time, I was just like, no, this is not. I did that stuff before once when I was younger, and I didn't think it benefited me, and I just kept pushing it off, and you can only stretch everything so thin. you know. And it all kind of boiled down after a few months of this. It just got to the point where I think all the erratic stuff, people are noticing. Just that simple. And it was like, I think, like when I resigned that day, I just remember being really sad about everything else. And I remember when I came down and I sat down, we was having a conversation, we was talking about all this stuff, and I was just like, I remember I said that to him, I was like, I just got to do this, and someone was like, you've got much bigger problems to worry about than trying to win a national championship. You need to go take care of yourself. You know, for all the things I said, like, how can someone like that have that level of responsibility? And I couldn't. Not in that state of mind. You know, when I was clean and when I was doing things right, yeah, it's not a big deal. This is bad, you know. And a lot of people, I feel like people gave me a lot of the benefit of the doubt, like, because of everything that was going on. It's just a pass. Just go get help, go figure it out, and whatever. And they did. The school was really good. They took care of me. I resigned. Filled out my letter. It was the last day of school. I turned it in. And from there, I had to go get help. And I immediately went to go get help that day. All this stuff that I worked for and built up, been a part of, and I'm just going. And like, you know, when I go, I don't want to talk to anybody. Don't want to see anybody. Don't want nobody. I'm embarrassed and ashamed. Those are the words that come to mind at first. Just disappointed in myself and not living up to this example that I was supposed to be. Because I was so focused on the wrong shit. You know, I've said this before. I have no control over the things that happen to me. That tornado, the death, none of that stuff. I was working with somebody at work, one of my clients, and they passed away. And I do CPR on them. That's one of the most physically traumatic things I've ever been a part of in my entire life. All these things just compounded so fast. And it was more than I could handle. You know, one thing at a time, sure. It's doable. But I don't have that kind of training. I'm not equipped for these kinds of things. I think the way that I would describe it is like being stuck in like a fight or flight response. Like that high level of anxiety all the time. And you just never come down from it. You're like Mach 10 24/7. You can't live like that. I couldn't live like that. This pursuit of all these things was just fucking stupid now. But it didn't change that I still felt like I needed this. And I went and got help. Like I said, I did my time. I went to a nice little place. And I didn't stay for very long. Didn't have to, fortunately. 24 days. That's how long from the time I resigned until I got the phone call asking me to come to St. Louis. We will talk about that a little bit more on the next one. Going into my career, going into St. Louis, and I didn't really know if I was ready, but I think I thought at this point in my age, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to get the opportunity to do it again. My body's beat up. This is my last chance, and I want to end things the way that I want to end things, with some level of respect for myself. And there's going to be a lot to learn along that road. But if I have to wrap up this team, I would say the most special group that I've ever coached. I'm not just saying that because it's my last one. I genuinely enjoyed being a part of all their lives and their journeys. And a lot of them I'm still a part of today. I talk to a lot of these kids all the time now. It's a whole new world when you're doing good. And I am good. No issues since this one. 3 years now. almost 3 years. I'm a few weeks short, but 3 years clean. I mean, I threw away a great place for addiction. Looking back at it now, obviously I see all the things I should have done better. I think the hardest part has probably been forgiving myself. Everybody else has been cool with me. I've made amends with everybody that I need to. Everything's been good. But I still struggle with forgiving myself because I feel like I should have done better. I should have known better. I feel like I hold myself to a higher standard even though I didn't live up to it. And I think I disappointed a lot of people, but I don't know if anybody hurts as much as I disappointed myself. But I was fortunate enough to get a second chance. I will always be proud of the time that I spent at McCracken. I thought that it was absolutely instrumental in everything I've done since then going forward. All the lessons I've learned, the people that I'm still close to, and what the program's gone on and been able to do. I'm proud of that. Proud to be a part of it. Wish I still was. But I'm okay with not being. I think that it's moved into a new direction, a better direction, and to be honest with you, a lot of the people that I knew was gone. And without those people, it's not worth it without the right people. I wish I knew that before. Sometimes I dream of memories that I missed. And I think back of, what if I didn't have to miss for this practice and I could go to this birthday or that, The last time that I ever remember seeing my sister, I was coming out of Walmart and I walked by this woman. And she said something to me and I ignored it. I kept walking and then she turns around and she goes, "Is that my big brother?" And I didn't even recognize her face. I work all the holidays and all my other time spent with cheerleading, and I didn't even recognize her. I have loved this for as long as I can remember. But there are some days where I wonder if everything that you gave up was really worth it, because you don't always get to decide what you give up. And I'm starting to find out that dreams are a lot like addictions. The ones that are killing you are the hardest ones to let go of. But I don't want to end this on a sad note. It is going to get better. I knew this one was going to be a hard one. I found that sometimes talking about stuff too much is not good. It's not good to live in that negativity. Like when I was living in that house with all my stuff broken down, it's not good to be in a negative environment like that all the time. It's not good to bring up and talk about things specifically that are negative all the time. You have to have a break. You have to be able to separate yourself. This is my dream. This is my passion. This is what I've chased after. This is what I've given my life for, or what I've made sacrifices for. It's my dream. I will forever be proud of my time as a Mustang. In a lot of ways, I look at myself now more Mustang than I was Eagle, because I spent more time at McCracken than I did Graves. I'm proud of it, proud of what we're a part of, proud of what they've accomplished, proud of the heights that they've reached, proud of what happened to every single one of these individuals and what made out with their lives. I did a lot of things wrong. But I'm still trying to remember everything that I did right. And there was a lot of good things. I just lost sight of all that sometimes, Like I said, it's just overall a good journey. Bad ending. Good journey, though. Learned a lot. I feel like I grew as a coach and as an individual. And, like Raymond, me and Raymond still talk all the time. Man, he has been my rock through so much of this. being able to be like, you push away from everybody, and he's like the one guy that you just can't push away. No matter how much you push, the dude just won't go anywhere. And man, if he hadn't, after everything, stayed in touch with me during the summer, stayed in touch with me when I was in St. Louis, stayed in touch with me all the time, man. And even to this day, it's been a minute since we talked, but Raymond, I don't know what I'd do without you, buddy. Thank you so much for all your support and not giving up on me even when I wanted to give up on myself. That's going to be all for today. We will look into my new journey because, like I said, it didn't take very long, about 24 days from my departure before I set sails on my newest adventure. And this one's going to be a little bit bigger because I'm going to cover some stuff that I did with FCC, which is the Christian Cheerleading Association. Went and did some stuff with them, working some camps, and got integrated into theirs. I went and returned to All-Star originally as an athlete. Crazy as that sounds, I was 31 years old. Yeah, buddy. So did that. Ended up coaching again, doing some choreography, going to these places, that places, and really just kind of, I didn't put all my eggs in one basket. Expended myself in it. And we're going to talk about my growth. Because I feel like this year is the year that I finally got it. You're like, man, you've been doing this for 10 years? I'm like, yeah, it took me a while. And I'm excited to look into that and to talk about all that went and what we dealt with and what we go through. And my growth, not just as an individual and as a person, and to teeter out my final perspective on all this. I'm so excited to put the bow on this and move on to talking about new things. Talking about y'all's stories, and there's a lot of exciting things getting ready to come. So if this stuff kind of bores you, then we're about done with it. And we'll get on to some more stuff. But thank you so much once again for listening and supporting me and for hearing this. Sorry this sounds a little rougher. It's been a little emotional to get through, and putting out there what I want to put out there and keeping to myself what I want to keep to myself. But yeah, the moral I think of this story is just experience. Not just from their story, but from mine. Growth and leadership and perception and what that means to develop and grow and to have a foundation that you can stand on. To have a foundation that's sturdy and stable that you can build on, not just as an athlete, but as for your mental health. And I'm a huge advocate for mental health these days, obviously. I've benefited a lot from it. But I feel like there's probably a lot of people out there that are going through maybe not something identical to what I was doing. But if it affects you the way that it affects me, it doesn't matter if it was someone broke your candy bar. If it resonates with you the way that this resonates with me, you're probably crazy. But if it does, you can't compare traumas. It's okay to work on yourself because you can't sit on the hamster wheel and go all day. Sometimes you have to take yourself off the hamster wheel. And I finally did that, and it set me on a path. And I'm excited to talk about that journey next time. But before that, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. You can check me out here on YouTube and on Instagram and on TikTok at Attack on Alex. Thank you once again for listening. And I will see you guys next time on Memoirs of the Father. Good night.